Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Welcome to Basic Engineering Mathematics, and this is the chapter number 2, and chapter number 1 is completed, and chapter number 5 is completed in 5 episodes, and we will also try to cover this chapter number 2 also in maximum 5 episodes, because these concepts are very basic concepts. Now we had moved towards the fractions. As the name of the chapter indicates, fractions, so your mindset should be moved towards the fractions that you used. Fractions are basically very important term. Fractions are used in everyday life. For example, we will discuss in today's lecture about the introduction of the fractions. So let's talk about the topics we are going to discuss today. These are the topics, just one topic, introduction. We'll just take a look at the introduction and just some examples and homework tasks, etc. So this is the, let's say, you can see from this picture that this is a type, for example, let's say this is a cake, and if I cut this cake into cut a fraction of this, and fraction means to cut some portion. As you can see, this is a fraction is taken out from the whole cake. So this is a fraction. This is also a fraction, means a part. Basically fraction means some part, not total. Some part of the total is a fraction. For example, this portion is the 1/4 of the cake. Means to say, if we divide the cake into 4 pieces, then this is a 4th portion, 1 of the 4th. For example, let's say this is divided into 4, and this means 1/2 means half. Means to say, if I divide the cake in one cake into 2 pieces, then in equal pieces, then this is one is the equal to 1/2. For example, this, if I cut it into this way, then the one side is equals to 1 of the half, mean 1/2. So let's say this is very simple. You use listen in everyday life that student, for example, obtain 4 marks, let's say, out of 10. Then it means it can be represented here in this way. 4 divided by 10 means to say, if there is a total percentage, let's say total, we divide the total marks into equal 10 portions, then the student obtain the 4 portion. As you can see, these are the green shaded portion here. This is the marks that student obtain, the 4 portions that are highlighted here, and the remaining 6 portion are not highlighted. This is called a fraction. Means to say, student obtain a fraction of the total marks. The number above the line 4 is the numerator. This is called a numerator. Here in this case, this is another example. Let's say 3 divided by 5. 3 is the numerator and 5 is the denominator, and the below the number that is below the line is the denominator. So this is, once again, let's talk about the previous example. 4 divided by 10 means 4 marks out of 10. That is a proper fraction. Proper fraction, remember, is a practical type case. If you talk about a practical case, there you will never for example, let's take a look at this example, because we are will not consider a new example. Just take a look at this example. A student obtained 4 marks out of 10. A student can obtain maximum 10 marks out of 10, but a student can't obtain more than 10. Means to say, the numerator can never goes higher than the denominator. Numerator is always higher. So the numerator is always lower or equal. This is a practical type case. But in other words, if the numerator goes above the denominator, that is not look like a practical case. That is an improper fraction. This is easy to remember as a hint case. When the value of the numerator is less than the value of the denominator, the fraction is said to be proper fraction. For example, the case of the marks scenario, this is called a proper fraction. So when the value of the numerator is greater than the value of the denominator, it is, as you can see, that student cannot obtain 13 marks out of 4. That even looks like an improper type fraction, and so we cannot just see in practical cases. So these type of fractions are called the improper fractions. So another example here, 5 divided by 2 is also an example of improper fraction. So mixed number is the further can be divided improper fraction into mixed number. For example, 7 divided by 5 numerator is greater than denominator, so it is an improper fraction, and we can split this improper fraction into mixed number. We will discuss the mixed number in the next slide. Here, change the following improper fraction. These are all improper fractions. You can see that all in the both three cases the numerator is greater than the denominator, so these are the improper fractions, and we are going to convert this into the mixed numbers. Mixed numbers is basically the convergence of another look of the improper fraction, and just another way of the representing the improper fraction, you can say. So 9 divided by 2, it can be written in this way. For division is already discussed in the chapter number 1, basic arithmetic, so I will not explain here the basic arithmetic. So 9, take a look, 9 is divided by the 2 into 4, that is 8. We will so the remainder is 1. So you have to start in the clockwise direction. Step number 1, the first one here, it is a 4, and the step number 2, this one is 2, and at point 3, this is the point number 3, that is 2. So starting from the point number 1, that is 4 can be written here. Then point number 2, that is 1, so 1 can be written here, and below the line as a denominator, that is the point number 3. So remember, the denominator always the same as the numerator. Okay, so it can also be read as 4 and 1/2. 9 by 2, that is an improper fraction can be read as a 4 and 1/2. You can see that after conversion it can be seen that 13 divided by 4, this is another question. 13 when divided by 12, you can see that this is the same case, clockwise direction. Step number 1, 3 can be written here in this way, and 1 in the numerator, and in the denominator, that is 4. So dividend is always same. 4 is the divider here. You can see that, so as it is the denominator and the denominator is the same, so it can be read as 3 and 1/4. This is another example, once again very simple. 28 divided by 5, improper fraction 28. Inside this square root and 5. So when we divide by 5, 5 is 25, 5 into 5, 25, 5 into 6 equal to 30. So we cannot go with 6 because it exceeds, so the remainder should be less than the dividend. So that's why we use is 5. So the first point is 5 can be written here as it is, and then the next at point number 2, that is 3. So 3 can be written here in the numerator, and the denominator 5 can be written here as. So the denominator should be the same as in the question, so it means you can check at the end. Problem number 2, the reverse process. Now we are going to convert the mixed number into improper fractions. As you can see that in the previous case we tried to convert the improper fractions into mixed numbers, and now we are going to convert mixed numbers into improper fractions. These are all the mixed numbers. Let's take a look at the first one, that is 5, 3 divided by 4. So the reverse process you need to do. This is the step number 1 right now, and step number 2 and step number 3 move in the anti-clockwise direction. But remember, this is now when you are moving from step number 1 to step number 2, you have to add the sign of multiply. 5 multiply 4, then you have to add sign of the addition between 4 and 3 while moving from step number 2 to step number 3, while the denominator, as I already mentioned in the previous case, the denominator would be the same in this case of the mixed number and of the there are two types of representation. One is the simplest improper, and the second one is the mixed number. While the mixed number and the improper fraction, in both cases in the conversion, the denominator must be the same. As you can see that how we can convert first we are converting basically for just numerator. We are working this whole process for numerator because the denominator is known and it should be the same. So 5, as I told you, 5 and the multiplication sign, and then 4. Then from step number 2 to step number 3 there is an addition sign. This is the sign of the addition, 4 plus 3. So 20, 5 multiplied by 2 using the board MS rule as discussed in this chapter number 1. So multiplication is solved here before the addition process. So 20, 5 multiplied by 4, it's 20. Then here plus sign and 3. 20 plus 3 here, it is the answer is the 23. 23 divided by 4. This is the denominator is the same, you can see here. So this is another look, you can see this is the correct answer. Basically the question was 23 divided by 4. If we further go back, 23, 4 into 5, that is 20. We cannot go with 4 and 6. You know that if it exceeds because 4 into 6, 24. So 4 into 5, it's 20. Denominator remainder is 3. If we go into the again clockwise process, you can see that. Notice here 5, 3 and 4. 5, 3 divided by 4, that is the basically we can this is a reverse vice versa process, and this is a quick way to solve this. 5 multiplied by 4 plus 3. Remember that this I told you just the quick way process. In actually there is a 5, there is a plus, then 3 divided by 4. If you want to open it in detailed method, then this one is the 5. Right here 5, 5, then add plus 3 divided by 4. This is this one is the actual process. If you want to go here, then take the LCM and solve it, and the result will be the same. This is the B part, and you again have to follow this anti-clockwise. 1 into 9, then you have to multiply sign here, add, and between the 9 and 7 you need to add the sign of the addition. Now 1 into 9, 9, then 9 plus 7, 16 divided by denominator must be the same. So 2 into 7, 14, then add 3, 14 plus 3, 17 divided by the denominator must be the same. So this is a practical case example, a daily life example. In a school there are 180 students, which are from which 72 are the girls. Express this in the simplest form, means to say these are the 72 students out of 180. So this is a proper fraction. 180 there are the total students, and these are the 72 that we had discussed or given. So this is the proper way. Denominator must be the greater than in practical cases, and the numerator must be smaller. So if I reverse this process, you can not even imagine that 180 divided by 72 means to say that 180 girls out of 72 students. This doesn't make some sense. So this is the simplest way, and you cannot forget this step. Dividing both the numerator and denominator by the lowest prime number, for example 2, gives 72 divided by 180. So first start by the lowest prime number. We already discussed this process in the basic arithmetics. First of all, we need to divide. Lowest prime number is 2. So if the you can see that the last digit is 2, and here the last digit is 0. It shows that the last digit is even, means to say if the last digit is even, then it's understood that the number can be divided by the 2 and it will completely divide it. So we can after dividing by 2, this answer is 36 by 90. In step number 2, we further continue with dividing by 2 until it doesn't. So again you can see that there is 6 is also a even number, 0 is also even number. So it means it can further be divided by 2. Answer is 18 and 45. 8 is again even number, but here 5 is not an even number. So 2 is not divided into both 18 and 5, so dividing both the numerator and denominator by the next prime number, because this is the limitation we have to divide the both with the same. If we are dividing the above with 2, we cannot divide the below denominator with another number. So if you select 3, we have to divide the both with 3. If it doesn't goes on 3, then we can select the next prime number. So how we can check that it can divide by 3 is the easiest way to add the both digits. For example, 8 plus 1, the answer is 9. 9 is divided 3. 9 is divided by 3 completely. So it means if there sum after sum, the answer can be divided if completely on 3. This number can be also divided on 3. For example, 4 plus 5 is equals to 9. 9 can be divided on 3. It means 45 also goes on 3. So after dividing by 3, the answer is 6 plus 15. So you can see that 6 can be also divided by 6 can be divided further on 3 and 15. 1 plus 5, answer is 6, means to say 6 if goes on 3, the 15 also goes. So we after further dividing, you can see that 2 by 5, that is the simplest form, and we cannot further continue, because this is minimum prime number is already, you understand, this is the minimum prime number. If we further continue, we cannot continue, because you can see that 2 it cannot be divided by 2. The answer is very low, and here 5 cannot go on 2, and 3 on, we cannot also go with 3, we can not go with 5. So the prime numbers are going to exceeds. So this is the simplest form. This form shows that in every 5 girls, in every 5 students there are 2 girls. This is the homework. Change the improper fraction 15 by 7 into a mixed number. These are the very simple, very simple questions that we had discussed so far. A box contains 165 paper clips. 60 clips are removed from the box. Express this as a fraction in its simplest form. This is a very simple question, a real life practical case example, and these are the answers. Hope you understand today's lecture, and we will discuss further. Discussion will be continued into next episode. So watch, learn, grow. See you next.